Alright guys, sorry the lighting is shit right now. If you could barely see me, I'll try to lighten this up in post, do something to kind of make the effect a little bit better. I just kind of wanted to take some time today before I hop in the shower to kind of record a video I was talking about recording. Kind of share some enlightenments and stuff, and just kind of, I don't know, generally throw out some things about my journey and my path so far that have, thoughts that I've had since coming here to this new place and being with a very good family and friends. Or friend, rather. Well, friends. Anywho's, I don't expect this video to get emotional or anything, but it's just things that I've come to the conclusion of in my past situation, things I've learned to let go, things I've learned to forgive and forget, and that's the best, basically the best revenge I could possibly have on this person that I used to live with. Essentially, to catch you up to speed, not to go into a long-winded explanation, but I went into a situation for 2 years before I came here a couple months back, or about a month or so now, a couple months back. I went into a situation with a former friend of mine who turned out to be an alcoholic, a manipulator, a very psychologically troubled and disturbed person, a person who's infantile, a person who's never grown up, a person who's never had to face consequences, true consequences for his actions, a predator. Apparently, later on, through conversations, I found out through conversations with his former lover that apparently maybe he was a rapist to some degree. Things like that. Yes, a very fucked up person. This was a former friend of mine that I grew up with. The reason why I trusted him and went into this situation with him is because he was someone I grew up with. The friend I'm living with now and the guy I used to live with grew up together more or less. I was there when he was younger. We all kind of grew together, been through some times, and then kind of life separated us. Well, I came back to, years later, live with him and be in a situation up in Lincolnton, Maiden, in North Carolina, which is basically a place in the middle of nowhere with not a lot of businesses, not a lot of opportunities, and very select things going on there. We lived in a trailer park with his mother, who he exploited to no end. Him and his brother took his mother, who's a 60-year-old woman, for all the money they could, lying to her every step of the way. She basically, in the last, I don't know how many years of his life, at least 6 years, I would imagine. And basically, the last 6 years of his life, he's maybe worked a total of 4 months to potentially a year. He's constantly, just depressed, has problems, has everything. He doesn't want to accept solutions about anything. And he's basically set up for failure because he has no job history, no work history. He doesn't have a good work record. He has all these addictions and disabilities, quote unquote mental disabilities that he has, which are more or less used as excuses to predate on people and, basically do bad things to people. He's a very sick, mentally unwell individual. When his mother passes away, his sole source of income and support is going to be gone. He will have to find a day job and basically work himself to death to get back up to the top or get some kind of reasonable wage to live off of. He's essentially done everything he's possibly can to set himself up for failure in life. That being said, the only reason why I say that is because everybody I know, the friends that I just mentioned, the friend I'm living with now, and the friend that I left behind, through no choice of my own, mind you, I was willing to stay and help his mother in the situation and get past my mental disorders and stuff. Um, and go into a situation where I could, basically help them solve and fix whatever problems are going on. This is a person who, during the entire time that I lived there, never even attempted to find another job, never got another job. He never went out and tried to fix the situation that he started, which was bringing me up there under the promise that he was going to help me. He piled it all on his mom and just basically checked out of the situation. And in doing that, he basically almost killed me. He almost killed me. He almost drove me insane. If it wasn't for the 4 months that I worked at a Dollar General up there with some very good people and actually met one of my closest friends now, Cynthia, I'd probably be dead right now. That's no question. I wasn't mentally well when I went up there. I wasn't mentally stable when I went up there, and he just exacerbated every single aspect of that. To me, in my heart of hearts, he's one of the most horrible and dangerous and manipulative and sick people I've ever met in my life, hands down. Hands down, I have met some pretty bad people in my life, but he is the worst. He is the worst person. He has turned himself into the worst person, mind you. He wasn't made into the worst person. He turned himself into the worst person. Going back to what I was just about to say a minute ago, me and my friends, we grew up in some pretty rough households. Like, despite what you may think about me, my situation growing up was not ideal. I've talked about this before, but I'm going to say it again. I grew up with two parents that became disabled at a very early age. I didn't have any brothers or sisters. It all fell on me. It all fell on me to provide for them or clean for them or whatever. I couldn't find work. I just mentally wasn't prepared for the challenges that came on, and I accept that. I admit that to family members that may be watching, that hold judgment as to what, happened during that point in time toward me, and whatever the hell they got to say about it, which really is irrelevant at this point because they weren't there. I mean, none of them were there, and I mean, they weren't just not there emotionally, physically, or anything in that time. They just weren't fucking there to help anything. Whatever happened to my mom and dad and us, it was just on us. So if I wasn't perfect in the situation at 16, 17, and 18 years old, that's a lot of weight to be putting on a 16, 17, and 18-year-old, But either way, we all grew up in rough situations. We all had excuses, okay? I have plenty of excuses to be a bad person right now, a drug addict, a criminal, whatever else, okay? We all have excuses. And my friend Jeff, he has excuses as well. He grew up in basically a broken home in a situation with a single mother. Living was hard. Living was tough. But unlike Stephen Charles Alexander, the guy I used to live with, and that is his name, Stephen Charles Alexander. You could look him up, you could talk to him, you could see what he says about me. I don't care. He used every single thing that ever happened to him as an excuse to become a worse human being. And I literally mean that in every single possible thing you can imagine that can go bad with a person. He has accomplished it. He has, drug addiction, alcoholism, self-denial, self-loathing, depression, blah, 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 blah. The list goes on and on. I mean, if you name an excuse to be a crappy human being, he has it, and he's using it right now to manipulate people. That's all there is to it. I'm sure that there's been plenty of things said about me since I've left that have been very bad, have been very dismissive. His family should know what I did while I was there and what I tried to do. His family has lived with him and their mother, and they understand how hard it is to live with them and their mother. Their family knows about the situation. Their family knows how he is and how his other, brother is. They know the situation. But I guess this is kind of, rehashing on old things. I'm sorry about that. So let's just go right into the Enlightenment. Alright, to make this video somewhat short, the Enlightenment I've reached is, I cannot carry my anger and rage over him anymore. I've done it for 2 years. I wanted to kill him. I wanted to hurt him. I wanted to destroy him. And I would be lying right now if I said there is a part of me that that's absolutely gone. That's not absolutely gone. That is still very clear and present there. I will always want to physically hurt him and beat him to within an inch of his life for what happened. But with that being said, I have learned, and this is some wise advice from my cousin a long time ago, my cousin Kiki. She said to me, about in regards to another family member we had. Why carry the anger and rage with you and stuff like that? I didn't really listen to her. I listened to her, but I really kind of was dismissive of it because I'm like, of course there's a reason to carry the rage and anger because you remember what they did to you. And you could remember what people did to you. You could remember how people abused you and how people, and what he did to me was abuse. It was abuse, mentally, maybe not physically, but mentally, definitely abuse. Mentally, definitely manipulation. Mentally, he tried to break me. Mentally, he tried to harm me. Regardless of what bullshit he cooks up in his head about what happened over those 2 years, um, he abused not only a friend but somebody who took care of him when he was younger. There was nothing that I wouldn't give for this boy. There was nothing that I didn't give for him in this household. I cooked his meals every night, him and his mother's meals. I cleaned their dishes. I cleaned their house. I was basically their slave. I was their servant. And he would not get up and do a damn thing. And whenever I stopped doing stuff, he just let it go. But getting back to the rage and anger, I will always want to physically hurt him. If I ever see him again out on the streets and he ever comes to me face to face, I don't know. I can't promise that I'll be able to hold myself back. I would like to think that I would, but I don't know. I haven't been put in that situation yet. And to be honest with you, if he was to walk up right now, I'd probably lose that situation. I would probably hurt him very badly physically with the closest weapon or thing I could find and beat him within an inch of his life once again. But for the most part, I have come to accept that I need to let go and, forgive and forget. More or less not forgiveness, but just forget that he ever existed. You know, accept that he is a lost cause, accept that he is dead weight. And this is some stuff y'all need to do too. Because y'all walking around making excuses for assholes in your life and predators and pimps and especially women. No offense to women, but especially young girls, young, women in general. You make excuses for men like this. And I've seen men do kind of the same thing. They've made excuses for bad women and stuff like that, bad relationships. But I'm just saying, you need to learn where the dead weight is in your life and the dead people and the people who want to die and the people who don't care and the people who ain't trying and the people who ain't doing stuff like that. And this goes back to my suicidal tendencies and my fucking madness, is because we live in a society where people like him seem to exceed and excel and get people to constantly give them favors, while people like me who break our backs and work hard and try to be studious and nice and kind to people, we're almost the minority of the country anymore. We're almost the ones who get held down the most and ostracized the most and hated against the most, while people like him get rewarded. And I felt like that my entire life. He's not the first person I've seen do this, and it seems like the more incompetent and stupid and ignorant you are, the easier life becomes for you, especially for people around you. But the point is that I'm going to forget he ever existed. I'm going to forget I ever knew his name. I'm going to forget, just basically what he did, and I'm going to move on with my life. And as far as I'm concerned, he's dead and gone. He will never come back into my heart, my mind, or my consciousness, or my empathy. Like, I will never have if he was burning alive one day on the side of the street, I wouldn't piss on him to put him out. And that's just the honest to God truth, because he deserves everything that he gets from this point forward in his life. I'm letting go because, to me, that's the sweetest revenge, because he wants people to remember him. He wants people to acknowledge him and praise him as a god of guitar or a god of art or a god of writing, but he doesn't want to do any work to get there. He doesn't want to put in any work. He doesn't want to write any books. He doesn't want to write any songs. He doesn't want to work at his music. He doesn't want to do any of that stuff. He wants it to just be handed to him. And it's not going to happen. I mean, I'm sorry, I hate to tell him, but it's not going to happen. And some of the schemes he's cooked up is how he's going to, survive and provide for himself in the future. I've seen it not work for my cousin. I've seen it not work for a bunch of predators out there. It's not going to work for him. When his mother passes away, he's going to be destitute, and he's going to be in a world of hurt, because the world is not that easy. The world is not that good. Make no mistake too that I've had a lot of help in some regards, help along in certain areas at certain times financially from people that I'm paying back now along the way during some of these really hard mental times over the last couple of years, which I am eternally grateful for. I didn't do it by myself, but I got that help and I got that support because I was a good person to people, I'd like to think, and they saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at the time. And I still, in a lot of ways, don't see things, but I'm a lot better mentally as far as seeing certain things in myself that I can actually kind of, respect, if not, hold pride in. At least I'm not a fucking idiot. At least I'm not ignorant. Any hell that I was because of my choices, like what happened with me and my ex-girlfriend and stuff, and what happened with him. I mean, I was ready to walk out on the streets and become homeless to escape that situation. A gutter would have been better than that situation if that tells you how bad it was. But I have no problem, accepting the hell of my choices. I have no problem accepting the hard work and the dedication and the pains that it's going to take to rebuild my life and get my life together now. The only problem and reason why it was so hard to get a job up there is, number one, we were so far away from everything, but number two, I would have, just like with the 4 months I worked at Dollar General, and the reason why I quit that job is because basically I was sitting there enabling him to sit on his ass and do nothing. He wanted somebody to come up there and work for him and to provide for the household while he got to sit on his ass and do nothing. And I just could not contribute to that situation. His mother is happy being pimped out by her son, but I'm not. I wasn't his enabler. I wasn't his damn caregiver. I wasn't his daddy. I should have never been responsible for his bills. He should have met me halfway and we should have worked. He should have worked, kept his job, and then I could have found something. I could have made it work if he would have worked too. But it became very clear almost immediately when I got up there that I was screwed. I was truly screwed. And when he quit his job a week after I came up there, driving around drunk in his car, no license, anything like that, I realized that I was in a fuck situation. And I was miles away from work and I was in the middle of nowhere. I was led into a trap, essentially. And the trap was for him to put the pressure on me to get a job, for him to sit on his ass all day and do nothing. So that's it. That's the video. I hope you enjoyed watching. Sorry it's a long-winded video. I may cut it down, I may not. I just like kind of letting videos, riff on videos, and let it kind of ride. I don't really like to edit them too much because I don't like that choppy kind of style. I just like kind of letting the emotion flow on some of these videos and letting it go, So anyways, I hope this has been helpful, enlightening, and understanding who I am, where I've been. If not, then I may do a more coherent series later on where I do cover the different aspects and journey of my life, starting from, where I was raised, who I was raised by, and what happened, and just kind of put it all down for record. Anyways, learn to let go, people. Learn to forgive and forget the dead weight, and most importantly, learn how to shed it and get rid of it. That's all you can do in your life. And just take it one day at a time, man, because things will get better, I promise you. You just got to give it time to get better and actually acknowledge what's wrong with your life and why things are going wrong, So for what it's worth, I love you guys. I'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.